Hey guys, and welcome back to an awesome evening where we're going to be sharing with one of our colleagues, or should I say, where one of our colleagues will be sharing with us her journey, her experience as an international teacher here in the United States. I know many of you are excited. You can't wait to learn from her. But we have to wait until 6 p.m. So in the mean and between time, we can talk. I see Diane is present as early as possible, 6:34 p.m. Diane has been in. Alicia Murray Hall, Francine Lowe, Tanisha Hyatt, Natalie Hyman. Thanks for joining, guys, and Angela Thompson. Thanks for joining this evening's live, where we're going to be having a young lady who's going to be sharing with us her journey here in the United States. And specifically, I know most of you, or should I say many of you, wanted to hear from somebody who has been working in the Savannah, Chatham County public school system in Savannah, Georgia. You have a young lady coming on with us this evening to share her experience, and I know you all are ready to hear it. I see E. Ellis says, ready, set, go. We still have some more time, Ellis, so we are going to wait for others to join. Thanks for joining, Tanya Richards. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. And thanks for the people who continue to support this platform. And stay tuned to all that is being shared. And ladies and gentlemen, I know a lot of people are out there viewing, and I know of a lot of teachers have experiences that they would like to share. Some might say they're shy, or some might say, I want to share, but maybe I'll share in a different way. You can always reach out to me and let me know if you would like to share your experience with other teachers, because guess what? Sharing is caring. And most teachers, they would like to, put that step, or should I say, make that step, but they're not sure how to or what steps to take. And so this platform is just helping others who would like to make that step. Hey, Samantha Messam Foster present. All right, so we have a few minutes to go, guys. If you did not know, I was in Jamaica last week. Let me tell you this. So when me check it out, Lord, no we're no better than yard. Must say, 1 week wasn't enough. 1 week wasn't enough. I can't wait to go back to drink some of the nice jelly coconut water. Yes, and eat some of the nice jerk pork. Listen, Jamaica, I'm telling you something. As much as we come here to work, listen, you are going to miss your yard. You're going to miss yard because it's really fun. It's really fun. Present Shanae and Brianna. Present, thanks for joining. Yes, 1 week back home was 1 week of fun and work. I guess because I had so much work to do, the time went by like this, but I'm going to make sure the next time I go, it's not going to be 1 week. And I'm going to set aside 1 week for just play and 1 week for work. Yes, Diane, big up everybody on the live. Go ahead and share the link. If you know somebody would like to hear more about the Savannah Chatham County public school system and their process, how do they, or should I say, what is the process like to get a job there, and what it is like working at SCCPSS? Yard girl straight. Yes, Diane. No hesitation on that one. Yard girl straight. So we have a few minutes to go. Go ahead and share the link. Go ahead and share the link. And also, if you know others who are interested, you have groups, share the links in groups, as many people as you want to share with, so they can get the information firsthand for themselves. Yes, so Charmaine Campbell Brown, present. I tell you, these people, most of these people are always present. I know Donna is going to jump in soon, and the other is going to be coming on shortly. We have a minute to go, and then we're going to begin. Hey, Chantal McLaughlin. No, I can't pronounce the name them already. But thanks for joining, guys. I am excited to be here, to be back. We've not been live like 2 weeks now. As I said, I was back home in Jamaica enjoying the fresh, cool breeze, the nice Duns River Falls, all those things. Yes. I don't know how to want to come friend come teach. Remember, so we're not going to miss all those things. You are used to Ricardo, same here. Okay. All right, so it's 7 p.m. here in South Carolina, and I know 6 p.m. there in Jamaica. And we're going to begin where I'm going to be introducing to you the guests for today. Stop rub Jamaica. No, I'm not rubbing it down, but it's real. It is real. It is real. Look. After a while, you realize that no better than yard. Seriously. So this evening we have with us, blessed from birth, resilient, versatile, and determined by nature, is Nardian Ward White. She's a Seventh-day Adventist. She's a wife and a mother who hails from the Garden Parish of St. Anne. If you're from St. Anne, go ahead and give a shout out. She later migrated to a neighboring parish, St. Mary. Well, my dad is from St. Mary. And she currently teaches in the United States. She has been a teacher for 13 years. Her current teaching role is as a special educator at the Savannah Chatham County Public School. I will not say which specific school, but the district has a lot of schools, so you can just guess she's at one of them. And she has been here in the United States. This is her 3rd year teaching. And you might be wondering, 3rd year teaching? And I thought you guys said J1 at a specific number of years. We're going to get into that. So Nardian holds a diploma in primary education with an advancement in reading and a bachelor's of arts in counseling and school psychology. She also possesses a master of science in special education. Nardian enjoys missionary work in her church. She loves researching, and I can account for that because I'm in a group with her, and she's always providing some well-needed information to our group. She loves researching, she loves empowering others, and she has an appreciation for aesthetic beauty and nature. She's also a true altruist and has had an underlying love for kids. Nardian mantra is, all things work together for good for those who love the Lord. And live and bless others. Live and bless others. I totally agree with that. Guys, please help me to welcome this evening our resilient, determined educator, Nardian Ward White.
Thank you, Dr. Britton. Thank you for having me this afternoon.
All right, so guys, Nardian is here with us, so we're going to get the ball rolling. I know some of you are really interested to get into some specific areas, but we're going to take it slow. As the singer would say, we're going to start easy and then we're going to go hard. So we're going to start easy and just talk to Nardian about basically when she just got here, or should I say, what motivated her to, start a teaching profession, or should I say, our international journey here in the United States. What was your motivation Nardian?
Well, my motivations were basically push factors. Um, I was not being challenged enough where I was. My skill set, my acquired skill set in the special education sector was not being utilized, so it was underutilized.
Yes.
There was not many room for growth. So I had to be looking elsewhere to see where I can actually utilize my skill set while growing. And the truth is, my environment, I was just basically tired of it. Yes, there were other schools in the country, but I think I would just get tired just the same. So I wanted a new environment, new experiences. So yes, I looked out.
Okay, good. So I guess when you say skill set, you're talking specifically your special ed degree. You wanted to use that.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So what program did you come here on?
Oh, I came here on the FACES program, which
Mhm.
is the best
Yes.
J1 program.
Yes.
So
I would agree.
you will hear from a lot of teachers that how FACES is one of those programs which is not very hard on their teachers. So yeah, FACES J1 program I came here on.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So, like Nardian, I also came in Faces, and I can say it's a very good program.
Mhm.
Also, it's not one who's going to be threatening us or, making life hard for us as international teachers
Mhm.
because it's already hard enough coming to a new country to work. All
Yeah.
right. So, what are some of the
Mhm.
benefits, or should I say, what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of teaching here in the United States?
Okay. Well, advantages. You have more teaching resources, both manipulatives and technology wise. You have, and whatever you need, you can actually ask for and you will get it to use in your classroom. Once it is to help with the advancement of your students, you will actually get that. Resources can be relative based on the schools because where I was in South Carolina, I had more resources in the classroom and in the school than I
Wow.
have here in Savannah. But still, it is more resources in Savannah than back at home when I was there in Jamaica. Um, the dollar value, of course, you know that the dollar value is more when you look at what you get, your compensation in Jamaica versus being compensated here. Classroom management, you acquire a lot of classroom management skills during PD. You are exposed to so many different classroom strategies, so many different activities because we have what we call professional development. We call it PD here each week. So it depends. It's relative from school to school where you have some schools they'll have PD every single day, while others twice per week or some once per week. So you'll learn how to deal with your students. Well, you'll get theory based on they have learned to teach us how to deal with the classroom management because trust me, you will need that here. I would recommend that. I know I'm not at recommendation, but I would recommend that you do a course in classroom management all by itself to work here because you
Yes.
will need it. So that you learn more about classroom management, you acquire new classroom strategies, how to teach different activities. You're also exposed to a new culture, educational culture, because you know that we're in Jamaica, we learn how to teach one way. When you're here, it's a different thing. So it's good to be exposed, and it also allows me to actually appreciate my culture more. I heard you talking about Jamaica and them missing. I know they don't believe you. I know the viewers, they don't believe you that they will actually miss Jamaica. But when you're here, you will know, you'll appreciate your food,
Yes.
especially if you're living in an area where you cannot get your Jamaican items. And most of the areas you don't have, you have to travel out to get your Jamaican food, and you may not get
Yes.
all of that. So you'll appreciate your food. You appreciate the scenery. Those attractions that you spoke of, you'll appreciate them more. And actually, even the language. because persons they like, I don't know about you, Dr. Britton,
Mm-hmm.
but persons at my previous school and my current school, they're always like, oh my God, I love your accent. I love. I
Yes.
remember speaking to a parent, and the parent was there staring at me in awe. And I was
Yes.
wondering, what am I doing? Is that parent hearing
Mm-hmm.
me? And when I was finished, it was like, I could sit here all
And
day and
listen to you.
listen to you. Yes, so you appreciate that.
True.
So those are some of the advantages that you have in teaching here. You get a chance to grow. You remember I talk about not being able to grow. You get that opportunity to grow in your profession. Some disadvantages:
Yes.
the environment, the environment that you work in is very stressful, extremely stressful. The workload is a lot.
Yes.
I was working in Jamaica for 10 years teaching, and I didn't know what work was until I got here.
Yes.
So it's overwhelming. And then you have phone calls coming in while you're teaching. You have emails coming in that you have to respond to while you are
Yes.
teaching, and you
Yes.
know that you have to deal with the disciplinary those students who have disciplinary behavioral issues and all of that. You have to be dealing with that, and it's just too much. You have to be multitasking while you're teaching, and it actually takes away from your lesson. So that's actually a disadvantage. As I said, the workload, it's just too much. It's a lot. And when I say too much, paperwork, when it comes on to paperwork, you're wondering if you're the one of those persons working in the office, or you're a teacher. You have a
Yeah.
lot of paperwork that you have to do. You have less time with your family. Especially when you go home, because you are so tired, it just spill over. You want to assist your own kids with their assignments and all, but because you're so tired, sometimes you don't even get that chance to work with them. If something goes down at the school, probably it spills over into your home. Um, those are some of the things that you don't want to be happening. You have to create a balance. So the less time with your family, that's a great disadvantage. Racism. I know a lot of teachers have and are experiencing racism in the classroom, in the school environment. And I'm wondering if I should actually say it's racism or xenophobia. This is xenophobia is a dislike or disagreement or prejudice against people who are from other countries. So
Yeah.
because they don't like you, they treat you a certain way. And I realized, especially where I was before, the students, they actually think that because you have a different accent, you don't understand what the world is. They ask you if you wear shoes in your country. They ask
Yes.
you, you have KFC, you have what kind of phone do you use?
Cars. If we have
You have
cars in
iPhone in
Jamaica.
your country, and they ask you those little things. But then you have to understand that some of these kids, they are not exposed. So you have the opportunity to actually educate them, especially when you're on the J1 program. And I guess I'll talk about that. Dr. Britton, you can remind me if I don't touch on it, where you
Yeah.
have to do the exchange program.
Yes.
Yes, so you will get the opportunity to actually educate them about your culture.
Yes.
Students are very disrespectful. It's
Mhm.
just second to none here. I know that, excuse me, I know that back home you may have disrespect here or there, but when I look on what we have to be going through here, I don't remember experiencing anything like this back
Mhm.
home. So, and then you have to have health insurance, which is not a part of especially if you are on the J1, your family, you have to have a health insurance for them, and the coverage is very high. That's a disadvantage, because based on your salary, you'll find out that if you do that, you'll be running on a deficit. So that's a disadvantage. No pension, and I find that was a push factor for me
That's for
too.
J1.
Yes, for J1, no pension when you're on J1. So you find that you'll be working 3, 5 years, and all those years they go without being pensioned. So when you are that age, you can't look back to, it's like wasted years for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
those are some of
Yeah.
the disadvantages.
Yeah, thanks for that, Nardian. And I see where Donna is saying she's swamped also with paperwork, but I've taught also in Jamaica, and I don't know where Donna, your school might be different, but I'm telling you, paperwork is to a different level. I mean, it is to a different level here, and there's so many different paperwork that you have to do. And you mentioned answering the phone. At my previous school in South Carolina, it was mandatory that you
Mm-hmm.
check your emails twice per day at work. And it
Right.
doesn't matter if something important went out and you missed it because you were teaching, you will still be reprimanded because it is a requirement for you to check your email. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
your email at least twice per day to make sure if some important information is sent out, you saw it, and if it's something that you needed to turn in, you turn it in. The
Mm-hmm.
excuse will not be like, oh, I didn't see it because I was teaching. No sir, no
Mm-hmm.
ma'am.
Not
You
accepted.
need to check the email
Mm-hmm.
twice per day. And yes, your phone is ringing, and yes, for different reasons, and you need to respond, because if you don't, then they're gonna call the next door teacher or your grade coordinator, and then the grade coordinator has to walk down to your class
Mm-hmm.
because they want you on the phone.
And
So,
sometimes it's a parent calling.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I totally agree with some of those that you mentioned. And yes, I understand what you're saying, Donna, but maybe I need Donna on the show to share some of her experience. And I need to extend my lives not only to international teachers, but Jamaican teachers also to share their experience with us. Donna, you first. All right, so let's go to the next question, Miss White. So you initially came here on Faces, and Faces is a J1 program. But before I go to that, let me ask, what opportunities, you did mention growth. Can you specify some of the growth or the opportunities that you see as growth for international teachers?
Well,
You did
as
mention the
I mentioned,
PD.
the PD
Yeah.
that is growing professionally because, as I said, it's each week that you have to meet, and it's always something new. Whether you're learning how to use new resources on the computer or how to deal with students in the classroom or something, it's just something new. So professional growth is good, even though I would say the 50 states are your limit. But guess what? It won't be your limit until you're actually off the J1 to a green card or off the H1B to a green card. But you have 50 state, 50 different education board, 50 different style of education. And so, you have room for improvement, room for growth, because new education system all over again. It's like coming from Jamaica to South Carolina or Georgia. You have a new system to learn and
Yeah.
to work with.
Okay.
You can advance yourself, which we do even back home. You can advance yourself by studying part-time. I noticed teachers here within a year, they have their masters. I know back home, it took me 2 years to get my master in degree, but here, and it's less strenuous than being home. I know that Jamaica system is thorough.
Mm-hmm.
So you do more work. Here, you can advance yourself easily and quickly than being back home.
Yeah.
And J1 also provides you with the opportunity to share your culture with um, with your students. You grow because the more you share is the more knowledgeable you are, and you help other persons to grow. So those are areas that you can grow in. And another thing, if you're on the J1, you can always transfer to H1B, and I think that's a room of that I would call that growth, because
Yeah.
not all schools, though, actually provide or sponsor you with the green card. But when you are on the H1B, you have a little more opportunities. So that's a room for growth from J1 to H1B.
All right. So I know initially you started on the J1 and then you transitioned to H1B, but also you've only been here for 3 years.
Mhm.
And I know in when you come here, your initial J1 status is for 3 years. So how did you transition from J to H within that 3 year period? Because now you're on H. How do you transition? Because I know a lot of people think they have to stay on the 3 year for the entire 3 years, and then when that finished, they have to extend for the 2 years before they can make any move. Can you tell us how that went for you?
All right. Coming here, I said, okay, I'm going to do my 5 years because the program, they told me you have 3 years and then you can extend for 2 years. So that was my plan. After coming here, learning about the different programs, learning about the H1B, and as you know, I like to research. I did a lot of researching on the H1B, and I looked about my waiver. Before I did that, I went through my contract line by line to make sure that I am not breaching, because it's very important that you don't breach your contract.
Yes.
And that's the reason it's important for you to know the different programs that you can come on, because some of them, they'll tie you into the contract where you can't move until you have completed your 3 years. Otherwise, you may be facing a lawsuit. So I went through my contract. I realized that, okay, there's a way that I can get out. I don't have to spend the entire 3 years. It says that if I need to leave, if I need to terminate my contract, I need to do X, Y, Z.
Yes.
So I went ahead and I applied for my waiver, because that's very important. Being here on the J1, you must have your waiver to go over to the H1B. And for those who are listening who do not know what the waiver is, when you are here on the J1 visa, you have a 2 years residency rule where you have to go back home for 2 years before you can come back here to work, whether it be on a J1 or H1B, or even if you are married, you have to have your waiver to say you're waiving the 2 years that you're supposed to go home. So I started looking after my waiver in January of 2021. Yeah, last year.
Of your second year.
Of my second year.
Yeah.
So in the middle of my second year, I said, I'm going to do this. So even if you have your waiver, you don't have to leave the program. But I said, okay, I'm going to do the waiver so that on my third year, because I didn't plan to move yet. So on my third year, I would have my waiver in hand, so I moved. But when I look on the opportunities that H1B offers, and Savannah, Chatham County especially, I said that this is the place for me. Why should I stay here? I'm not getting pension. I'll be getting that. Insurance. I'll be getting help with that from the district. So I decided that I'm going to transition from J1 to H1B. And as you need to know your rights as a J1 teacher, because when my principal found out that I may not be coming back to the school, she wanted to tie me into the contract for the following year. And as a J1 teacher, you have up until the 15th of May to sign your contract. So even if they have given you the contract at the beginning of April and they want it back the 10th of April or the end of April, you have up until May 15th to sign your contract. And she was just rushing me to sign. When I went for the contract because all the teachers, they have gotten their contract and they can take it home, go through and sign. I was told that I have to sign it right there in the office. I can't take it. Yes, I was told that. So I said, okay, I won't be signing it. So that's it.
Yeah.
So I just leave it there, even though at that time I didn't have my waiver. And I wasn't sure. Yes, at that time I wasn't sure I will have a job either, because I did some interviews, but I didn't get any response. So
yeah,
with faith, I just put it in God's hand and I said, I'm moving. I need you to come through for me. So he did just that.
Yeah. So you say you applied for the waiver in the middle of January, and you got the waiver when? When did you?
I got the waiver in May.
That was quick.
Mm-hmm. That was quick because I was on them from the very beginning. every step of the way, every phase, I know where my waiver was, what process it was at now, because I call, and I email and I call. And you know that you can't call the State Department here. So I emailed them. And
Yeah.
I even, when I was asking persons about expediting they said nothing like that. They won't do that. Well, I am here to tell you that they responded to me and they just asked me for a letter from the district that I got the job, and they expedited my waive up the process.
Yeah.
And I just passed that on to persons who I knew that they were actually looking about their waiver. They were waiting on the state to update their thing, and they did the same thing, and their process was also
Expedite.
expedited, so it can
See?
work. Yeah, you just have to
See?
try.
You just have to try. Thanks.
Yeah, you
I
just.
see a lot of people in the chat saying, with all the disadvantages, trust me, the disadvantages should not stop you. If you are determined to explore international teaching, you will make it, because with all, look, there's always positives and negatives in everything. It's
Mhm.
how you manage it and how you handle your time, and what is it you're going to make affect you and what is not going to affect you. You have to be good at blocking out things
Yeah.
and focusing on things that make you the person you want to be. I'm going
And
to leave
another
that
thing.
right there. You cannot weigh down yourself with everything. You have to know
Yeah.
what to fight and what not to fight with.
And the
Yes.
thing is, everybody has a different tolerance level.
Yes.
So you must know if you can manage or not. So if you're here and you know that you're not coping well, because your health, your well-being is most important, you always have the option of going home. It's not about staying here and killing yourself. You
Yes.
always have that option to go home.
Yeah. All right, so you say you started in your second year. Awesome. All right, tell us, Nardian, you stayed on your J for 2 years and now you're on H. What are some of the major differences you have found so far with the J1 and the H1B visa? Similarities and differences. And which one would you recommend and why?
Okay, similarities. Well, they have restrictions. There are certain things you can't do on both visas, because you can't work outside of the person who employs you. Well, for J1, they give you the opportunity to work another job, like a part-time after-school program, not with the same district once it's in education, but you're not allowed to work otherwise on both programs, especially the H1B. You can't work for anyone else, whether it's in or out of the education system.
Yeah.
So that's a similarity. Another similarity, what's similar with the two programs? You can take your families. Your
Yeah.
family can come with you, can accompany you here.
Yeah.
Um, I don't. I'm not remembering any more of the similarity, but for differences now, for J1, when your family, especially if you have a husband, a spouse, when he or she comes here, that person can apply for the work permit and actually work. So you know that is more finances coming into the family's kitty.
Yeah.
And if you have a child that is over the age of 15, you can also apply for the work permit for that child. On the H1B, they can't work until, if the school district is sponsoring you the green card, and you are at the third phase, which is about a year into the application, where you have the I-140 approved, then you can apply for a work permit. So you can't, the husband, the wife, or the child that is over a certain age, they can't take up a job. As a matter of fact, they can't even take gifts. I was talking to the lawyer the other day, and he said that I asked about what about him volunteering in different companies using his skills. He said you have to be careful with that, because even if the company is offering you transportation, you're not allowed to accept it. If they're offering you lunch, you're not supposed to accept it, because that can go against you. So they're not allowed to work on the H1B. while on the J1, they are allowed to work. On the J1, you know that it's 5 years. Well, due to COVID, they had extended to 6 years, but I think now they are back at 5 years. So you can spend up to 5 years on the J1. Then you have to go back home if you have not looked at other avenues. For the H1B, you have up to 6 years to work. And after 6 years, you can actually apply for, you can sponsor yourself, but that's a different thing altogether. I won't go in that. You can sponsor yourself. So those are some of the differences with the H1B and the J1.
All right, so we're going to go straight into your process in applying to Savannah. What was the process like when you applied, and how long, or what was the process like from beginning? Like, you submitted your documents today. How long did it take for you to hear back from Savannah?
Okay, so you know that for Savannah, Chatham County School District, their application for the next school year opens in January.
Yeah.
So I went on in January, I applied, and probably about 3 weeks, I saw qualified.
Yeah.
Went up beside my name on my profile, and about sometime in late February, I would have gotten those 10 questions. For those who are familiar with those 10 questions that the lady at the district would send from the lawyer's office, because those are the questions, when you answered them, the lawyer will determine if you are qualified to transfer from J1 to H1B, or from Jamaica to here on the H1B. So when the lawyer goes through your responses, the lawyer will let the district know that, okay, this person can come on the program. So after that, I got the follow-up questions to send the family stuff, I think it was 6 more questions I have to answer, immigration questions.
Yeah.
And I did that. So I didn't hear anything for a while, and I was wondering, but I'm going to speak about that on the back end, that I'm in Savannah County, why I didn't hear anything.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything for a while until about, I think it's the beginning of, or the middle of March. I got some calls for interviews. I did about 4 interviews, and those interviews were done right before spring break. And I can tell you, these people, they don't work on their holidays. So when it's spring break, you will not hear anything. And I remember not hearing when school reopens. I got a follow-up call. Well, I didn't get the follow-up call there. My principal got the call, and that's how she knows that I'm really intending on leaving. And she and another person, I think it was my lead teacher, she got a call. That's the reference call. Because whenever they call, that means they need you. They want you. Once they call your references, they want you. Yeah. So I was told that they called, and the day after, which is about sometime in April, because spring break was the last week in March. So the first week in April, sometime thereabout, I got the call to say that I am being offered the position, and if I am willing to accept. So right there in April. So on the back end now, when from January to mid-March, they are doing what you call the internal application. So persons in the district, they normally have the opportunity to move from one school to the other. So they put that out there. So if I want to transfer to another school in the district, I would apply. And then they are doing those interviews at that time that you're not hearing anything.
Yes.
So they are interviewing teachers who are moving from one school to the other. And when they have completed that, then they'll know the different positions they will need teachers for, because they don't want it be a case where a teacher in the district wanted to teach at this school and they take someone from outside to fill that position. So they
Yes.
have to complete that first before they actually look on the outside. Um, you asked something else?
I think that was it from
Okay.
beginning to when you actually heard back.
Okay. So after I would have been offered the position, um, the school has to do its paperwork, which take about, it can take 2 days, 3 days, but sometimes a week because the principals, they're quite busy. So they'll be doing a lot of stuff. So when the paperwork is completed from the principal's end, then they'll send that over to the district. The
Yeah.
district will now send the information to the lawyer, and the lawyer will send out the questions for you to send in some information on your visa and families information and so on. So that's where it is. So I did the interview the last week in March. I got the offer the first week in April. The first week in April. Oh, the interview was the second to last week because the last week was spring break.
Yeah.
Got the offer the first week in April. And by the end of April, all my paperworks were in because I had to complete the contract, which was very long. So
Yeah.
by the end of April, I was good.
Um, do you think, and this just your opinion, do you think it's easier for teachers in the States to get through to the school district over teachers who are outside of the country, like people who are here in the United States already? Do you think it's easier for them to get a teaching job there compared to
I
back home applied?
That's a misconception a lot of persons have because no, let me say no.
Yeah.
Answer explanation. Most of the principals, they are now being enlightened about the process because they believe when they interview you, that's it. They don't have anything else to do. They don't know how the paperwork goes. They don't know nothing about the immigration process. So when they actually employ you, they just think, okay, I'll see this person at the beginning of the
Yes.
school year and that's it. So they just look at your profile, and whatever they see, that's what they'll go by. So if you're in Jamaica, remember your profile doesn't tell if you're in Jamaica or the United States. Does it? Does it? I don't
I
remember.
think it will when you put your address in.
You
It
think they look
does.
on your
Put
address to
your
see
address in.
if you're qualified? Um, but
Well, I don't know what
they
the principals see on their end, but when you're filling out your application form, you have to put your address on it.
right, right.
Yeah.
But in terms of that, no, because I'm using my principal for example. He employed a Jamaican teacher. I think the interview was done in September. This person was in Jamaica, not here. And October comes, nothing. November comes, nothing. Then he was saying it to me. And I was like, I was trying to tell him the process. Well, I started telling him the process, and he was saying he had no idea that it would have taken this long. And then he didn't want to say this, but I infer that he was saying he would have tried to get someone here because he
Mhm.
didn't know. So at that time, it was crucial for the person to come now because the school year had started. But like now, you have time enough to process everything to be here for the school year.
Yeah.
So it depends on your resume. So make sure when you're selling yourself, you really do a good job at that because they look at your experience and not even so your qualification, because if you're qualified on the portal, that means you're qualified to teach here. So they look at your experience, so your experience talk. So, and when you do your experience, you need to talk about the things that you actually do at your school.
Yes. Because I think there's a section there where it asks you to break down
Yeah,
what
the
is it that you
job
do.
description. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So, what are some of the requirements, or what should I say? What are some of the documents that they look for before they move your status to qualified? Because I know a lot of people put their application in and it just stays there, and some people application you get an email say you've been moved to qualified. What do they
Okay.
look for to do
Okay,
that?
so you have, for the status of your application, you have three different statuses. You have or status, the plural for status. You have the receive, that's when they just receive the thing. They have reviewed, whenever you see reviewed, that means they rejected you. And I was told that from the lady from the district. And when you have qualified, that means that you are ready, you are qualified to work within the district. What is most important is your qualification evaluation. If you, let's say you apply on the district portal and you did not upload your trans evaluation, they're just going to review it. She told me that once there is no evaluation there for you, they're going to just reject that application. I know that some of you, you may apply and then you do your evaluation and one would have been sent to Savannah. Because they have so many applications dealing with, I would recommend that you send an email, because when you know that your evaluation is done, so that they can review your application again. Because once they review it, they're not going back to it. So it's just rejected and it's done. So it's in your best interest to follow up on that. So the transcript evaluation is important, and they ask for your transcript itself. You have to send your verification of experience. That is important to say. Well, it is not important to say that you're qualified, but it will be important down the line when they need to place your salary where you are on the salary scale. Yeah. So those are important. You have like your visa and all of that. Yes, they're going to need that. But those 3 documents, you need your professional standing. And this is what you will get from JTC. So you have to register with JTC and then you apply for your professional standing. They want to know that because we are not licensed in Jamaica. I guess they're doing that now. I don't know if they started, because for years I've been hearing about they're going to.
I think they have.
Okay, so the professional standing actually tells that, okay, this teacher has been working in the country, and this teacher worked at this school and was trained at this school with this qualification. That's what the professional standing really tells.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, if you are, I know a lot of people saying good session, good information, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. It's not going to hurt you. You don't have to pay to like the video. Go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. I have 124 viewers. I should have 124 likes. Nardian is doing an awesome job. She hit a point just now. I did not know this, and I'm going to repeat it. There's 3 steps she said. First, when you put your application in, it says received. And then if you see reviewed, that means they went and checked on the application, but it's basically rejected because maybe your application did not grab their attention, or you didn't have what they required. And then if it says qualified, that means you have all that is needed and you can be now put to the next step for interviews by principals.
Right. And I must say something about the rejection too. Rejection doesn't mean that you're not qualified to work in the district, but because let's say I can use the physical education teacher, for example. That person normally teaches science in Jamaica, but they are qualified in physical education. You will not be qualified to teach science here, even though you have had experience in teaching that in Jamaica. You only will be qualified to teach whatever your certification qualifies you for. So that is another reason persons are rejected, because I am teaching science and PE in my school, and I go and I apply for science because I don't like to teach PE, so I'm just going to stick with the science. But your qualification tells that you are a PE teacher. They're just going to reject that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, that's good to know. I did not know that. Very good information for those who are waiting. You can check to see where your status is at, if it's qualified or if it's reviewed or if it is received. Can you talk to us about what's the salary scale like in Savannah, Chatham County?
Oh, the scale. I wish I had the scale in front of me. All right, so your scale is based on your years of experience. Oh, and a good thing with the H-1B here in Savannah, they'll pay you for all your years of experience. Back in, when you're on the J1, they'll pay you for the years of experience on the diploma, the degree, your first degree. So you
Yeah.
will not be paid all those years that you have been teaching. The 30 years that you taught on diploma, that will not be counted as
Yes,
years
true.
of experience. So let's say that you have taught 30 years on diploma, then you got your first degree, and after you spent 1 year on your first degree in Jamaica, and then you decided, oh, I'm going to migrate and teach, you're going to be paid on the first level. Say they're going to pay you to say that you have only 1 year of experience. Well, while in Savannah, you'll be getting your pay for 31 years. So
Yeah.
that's a big difference too that you want to look at in when you're applying or trying to see which you want to be on.
Yes.
Yes. So the salary scale you have based on your years of experience and your qualification. So you have T, I don't remember if it's T3 it starts or T4, but
I think
T3 mainly is for locals because T4 it's for a bachelor's and they don't take you unless you have a first degree. So the T3 is basically for locals. T4, you have a bachelor's, and T5, a master's. T6, I think it's a specialist certification. Yes. And you have a T7? I know
yeah.
they pay
You
for,
have
yes, so
T7
T7 is for doctor,
doctor.
like Dr. Britson.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So they'll pay you. So each year, just like Jamaica, you have your pay increase incrementally. Your pay is increased incrementally here. So for each year, you'll get a little increment on your pay. And as I said, I don't know how to say this. I don't know what to say in terms of the salary because it varies. You can't compare
It
your salary
varies.
to mine because it depends on your years of experience and your qualification. So
Yeah.
I might be teaching us special education. Another teacher is doing special education, same years of experience, but different qualifications. So we get different pay.
Yeah.
So can't compare.
All right. Well, you explained that beautifully for us. Now we know with H1B, and this is a touchy topic. Being on the H1B, the spouses, you did mention that earlier, they cannot work
Mhm.
and they can't even do any volunteer jobs because, as you say, they cannot accept gifts.
They
How do
can.
you manage your finances knowing that, we come here with our family or spouses and it's just one salary coming home? How do you manage our budget for that?
Well, well, the good thing about my family is that we were on the J1, so we were able to save, right? So
Yes.
it's good to have a little reservoir. So
Yeah.
you know you have something put aside. However, you have to make a strict budget and you have
Yes.
to live by it. I know that us Jamaican like to look good. Nothing
Yes.
is wrong with looking good. So and we like name brands too.
Yes.
So guess what now? Forget the name brand for a while. You can go into tell me some of the stores. I'm not going to talk about Goodwin and
All
so I'm not talking about
Navy.
Roses. Huh?
All Navy.
Old Navy. I don't even go to Old Navy. You can go, you go to Roses. You find nice things there, and and even Walmart. They have sale. Utilize sales. Utilize coupons. Um, they have discounts for events. I know we like to sport as well. You have to put that on the back burner for a while too. And I'm not saying that you're not supposed to go anywhere. They have beaches that you don't have to pay. They have events that that are discounted. So look out for those things. They have events that you don't have to pay to go. So look out for those things and utilize them for the family because it can get very boring to be at home.
Yeah.
So you just have to try and balance, but strict budgeting. That's what I do. Strict budgeting. So
Yeah.
person, you have to learn
Can
how
you,
to
can you
budget.
tell
Go and
us
do budgeting.
can you tell us what is the range for rent in the area, Savannah, Pooler area? All the schools in Savannah, Chatham County, you can find them in like Pooler, Georgia, Port Wentworth. What is the
You
just
find them
like
some
some
things there.
average for monthly rent in those areas?
All right. So the rent price some of the rent prices, they come with the area that you live in. Because of course you have the inner cities here as well, the ghetto,
Yeah.
and it will be cheaper there. But I'm sure you don't want to come and live in the inner city. So regular in the town, and in Savannah is a historic district. So if you should live in where the historic district center is, it's going to be
Yes.
more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So we are looking at, when I came here and I rented, I was paying 1,300 and something dollars per month. And I have colleagues who are paying 1,700 and something for rent. So it varies on the area that you live. It can be below $1,000, but as I said, you don't want to live in the inner cities.
I have to sleep under the bed.
Well, I can't speak to that. I can't speak to where you have to sleep, but from just inferring from what you know about inner cities, you don't want to live in inner cities, right?
Yes.
So it's anywhere between, I would say anywhere between $1,200 and $1,700. It could be more or less, give and take a few
On the
$100.
location.
Right, depends on the location. And that too, Savannah is very expensive, people. So you have to
Yes.
come with that in mind. Because when I was in South Carolina, I used to pay $700 for rent. And when I came here, it practically doubled. So,
About 450.
oh wow, that's non-existent here. So,
Yeah. All right. So my next question is, can you talk to us some more about your role as a SPED, special education teacher? Because I know a lot of my viewers are special education trained, and they don't know what it entails being a special educator here in the United States. What is it like for you on a day-to-day basis? And I see somebody's asking, what is it like teaching in Savannah by itself? I know you were doing SPED also in South Carolina, so you can maybe compare, contrast what
right,
SPED
I'll
is
do that.
like in the two different states.
Yes, I'll do that. On J1, when I was on the J1, I was a contained classroom teacher. This is where I have students coming for core ELA and math. Excuse me, ELA and math. So they did not go to the general educators for ELA and math. They come to me. And then I would have another set of students who would come as resource. They're my resource students. So they would see the general educator for ELA and math, but they'd come to me for me to help them with areas that they have deficits in. So that was it for me on J1. In Savannah, they don't have what you call the contain class. They have they utilize the inclusion method. So the SPED teacher teaches with a general educator. So they co-teach. We're supposed to co-teach. It depends on the classroom, or let me say, it depends on the school, the culture of the school. You will have some general educators who really don't know the role of the SPED teacher, so they'll treat you like you're a paraprofessional instead of a certified teacher. Some schools, you go into the classroom and you don't know who is the SPED teacher from who is the general educator, because both of them are doing the same thing. So you are working with your general educator colleague. And for me, I work with the 4 core subjects based on my school role, because we have a limited amount of students there in comparison to another one of my colleagues. My school, I do the ELA, math, science, and social studies. So I had to move from class to class. I don't have a classroom for myself. I work in the general educator classroom. While in another school in the same district, Savannah district, you have my educator. She works only in math. So all the math SPED students would come to her with the general educator in that class. So it differs from school to school, but you will always be working with the general educator. unless you are an adaptive teacher where you have those severe cases, those students with severe disabilities, then you know that those are contained. So adaptive, they would, when they're interviewing you, they interview adaptive different from a general education SPED teacher. All right, general, not education, general curriculum SPED teacher. So you'd know the difference. For the adaptive, you have your classroom.
And I don't know the terms because I'm not a SPED teacher, but I know the school that I was in South Carolina for SPED, we had a SPED resource teacher and we had a SPED teacher. She was fully, like, she had a classroom for herself with about 5 students, and those students had different, needs.
Mhm.
And then you had the resource SPED teacher who came now and pull students from the classroom daily. But that when she pulled them, she would take them to a room that she had. Even though she was resource, she had a room for herself. So you're telling me your SPED is basically different from what I'm used to, where you say you're working alongside the general ed teacher. So I guess,
Yes.
as you're saying, SPED is dependent on the school district and how they want
Yes,
how they want it to be done.
that's right.
Yes. And I know also my spec teachers who are here, look here, me a vouch for they always try to find out if spec teachers are paid more than general ed teachers. Talk to us about that.
Okay, that's what I believed before I came to, and I even believe that if you were if you were an adaptive teacher, you would even get more than the regular SPED teachers. It's not so. You'll be paid on the scale just as the general educators.
Same scale.
Same scale.
Wow. Okay, guys, we're coming to the end. I have only 2 more questions for Nardian, and you can get your questions ready. I know you've done a little better than the last time I spoke. I know I've 77 likes. You're getting close to it. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying all this awesome information that Miss White is providing for us. I'm telling you, I am learning so much from her this evening. I know many of you have applied to the Savannah County School District and you are waiting to hear from them. And I know Miss White has shed some light as to what is happening in the background and why is it you're not hearing as yet. Go ahead and show some appreciation. Give the video a thumbs up. That's all it requires, a thumbs up. Share it and like it. So, Miss White, if a teacher was to ask you for advice on teaching internationally, what would you say?
Before I go to the advice,
Yes.
another thing that I think persons who are waiting to hear from the district need to know is that this year they had over 8,000 applicants.
I wonder what caused that.
Over 8,000 applicants, and I'm sure they don't need half of that amount of persons. So one of the things that I recommend to persons who I have spoken to, you can reach out to schools that you see need teachers in your field, like send an email. All the information is here on Google. You can Google the school, find the principal's email address, send your resume, send an email. You are selling yourself because the competition is very tight. So that's one of the reasons some of you may not have heard anything to date from the district.
Okay.
Yes. Go ahead.
One thing, Nardia, Richard Buffo, you just commented there in the chat box. I would really, really like you to reach out to me, and I'm gonna publicly invite you to come and share with us working in the U.S. Virgin Islands. So, Richard Buffo, I'm speaking to you. Go ahead and find some way. Message me on IG somewhere so we can link up. I'm sure others would like to hear what it is like teaching in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
That's again Richard Buffo. All right, go ahead now.
Advice.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to come here? You need to know why. Why you want to teach here? Why? So you need to know why you want to teach here and what you want to get from teaching here.
Yeah.
Set your goals. When you have established the why and the what, set your goals, because persons are here, they will achieve. You can't compare yourself to another teacher. Oh, this person, she came here and she has her master's. No, and she even built a house back home, and she did this and she did that. And it depends on you measure your achievement based on your goal. So just like your lesson plan, you and another teacher, you're teaching the same topic, you have different goals, you have different activities, so your outcome will be different. So your achievement is not measured against another person's achievement. Measure your achievements against your goals. So that's an advice that you need to I would give to you. Know which of the programs best suit your goals. Is it the J1 or the H1B? Is it that when you come here, you want your family to acquire some funds before you can move over to the H1B? Because if you should come on the H1B, you know that your husband or your wife will not be able to work and assist with the expenses. So you need to analyze and see which of those two programs will work best for your family. Networking, very important. The family, I know some persons are single, but a lot of teachers who are here, they have family. And a lot of you who are coming, you'll be coming with your family. Your family structure, that's my number one support system, my family. But you need networking in your subject area, the discipline that you're in. So I'm a SPED teacher. I need to have several SPED teachers that I can liaise on with.
Yes.
In my district, I need that because I know that most of the SPED teachers outside of the adaptive, they are in the inclusion setting. I need to know what is happening at your school. I need to know if you're experiencing the same encounters that I'm having. So you need to have your liaison, your network going on in your discipline. You need to have your network with your international teachers from school to school, from district to district, from state to state. You need to know what is happening, not only in your little area, but what is happening outside of your area. The group that you spoke about, I noticed teachers ask about resources. What resources would you use for this? What can you recommend? And the recommendations that they send in there, they're so overwhelming because you'll have a flood of information coming in where you can use this to help with that. Persons are studying for their praxis to whether they're moving to H1B, and they're forming groups within the group because you're networking based on your needs, right? And that actually, and it's based on the network that helped me with my waiver because I didn't know anything about waiver or anything. I just heard about the waiver and they're talking, and I went and do further research on it.
Yes.
So as I said, when you come, make sure you align yourself to the network that will assist you in helping you to reach your goals. And not only that, don't be only a taker. Make sure you are actually giving, encouraging, and helping other persons within the same group, because that's what you're there for as well. Know your rights. You need to know your rights as an international teacher. When you go to the embassy, they normally give you a little booklet. I don't remember the name of that. And it tells you it gives you some numbers that you can call if you feel like you're being exploited, abused or whatever. And that can be within the school system. I've heard about so many stories with principals who take advantage of the international teachers. They treat them so badly. So if you feel like you're being exploited or abused, you call to get assistance or support. Sometimes your very own J1 sponsor, they don't support you when you are in need of that support. Know your right as a teacher, not just international teacher, but as a teacher in the country. Know your right as a tenant, because when you come here, I'm sure you're not coming into a house that you bought when you were in Jamaica. So you're coming as a tenant, you are renting somewhere, whether it's a house or an apartment. Know your rights. Because persons were asking me, how did you get out of your what we call it again? Your contract. How did you get out of your contract? And so when you know your right as a tenant, you know how to go around it. Know your right as a client, because you'll be a client, whether it's to the lawyer or to the hospital or wherever, a patient. So know your right in all those different areas. Read, research the area that you're coming into. Well, I know a lot of teachers, especially where you want to live, you're going to research that. But sometimes you don't find that information. Reach out to others. Ask them about the area. Ask them about the school. Because when they're doing the interviews, and I don't know if you ask questions, but you should ask questions. They'll tell you the best thing ever about the school, but when you go there, it's the opposite. So find out from other teachers what the school is like. Read up on the school. Come here with an open mind. Don't come here locked into our own Jamaican culture. Don't come here locked into your own way of thinking, because it's a new culture. It's a new way of life. Just come with an open mind so that you will have the best experience there is for you to receive.
Yeah.
Upon arrival, you need to, when you're doing your interviews, make sure you ask the hard questions. Find out about your salary. You need to know. It's your right. Find out about, when you arrive, what kind of support will be there for you. Will there be someone to pick you up at the airport? Where will you stay? Will they assist you in finding an apartment? I know on the J1 program, especially for FACES, I told you that FACES is
Yes.
the best. They pick you up at the airport. They take you to a hotel for 1 week. And while you're there, they're doing workshops with you to sensitize you
Yes.
to what you're about to face. So that is exception compared to the others, exceptionally well. Some other J1 programs, they don't pick you up at the airport, so you make sure you have somebody to come and pick you up. And it's the same. H1B, once you're approved and you sign the contract, you're on your own. You don't reach in America yet. You're on your own. So you have to know how you're going to get from the airport to wherever you're going to stay. When you come, you have to know how you're going to get around. And the bus system is very crappy for most districts. You have to have your own ride. Because when I was in South Carolina, we didn't have a bus system. So if you don't have a ride,
I want to go when they say bus system and mention South Carolina.
They didn't have a bus system there. So if you don't have a ride, you have to, we'd call it sponge on somebody to take you around for everything. Yes. You don't see people walking on the road. Everybody have their car. So now in Savannah, there's a bus system, but it doesn't take you everywhere. So you are limited, which in a way is good because it will prevent you from going shopping. You'll save and you'll be able to manage your budget better, but you will need to go places. So it's good for you to have your own transportation. So you ask, you're going to get those? Or you're going to get to the Social Security office to get your Social Security number, your bank, you need a bank account. You need to ask those questions. What kind of support do you have for me in the school when I get there? So ask them. You're right. You need to know.
Yeah. So just wrapping up, give us, in a nutshell, maybe three attitude you think they should have when they're coming here as an international teacher, or when they want to explore teaching internationally. At least three. You can give us more. The type of attitude they should possess.
And I'm going to say a positive one, right?
Yeah.
You must have a positive attitude. And come, as I said, come with an open mind. You can't come and think that, because I had some colleagues, they're nice colleagues, hats off to my colleagues back home, but you don't step on their toes because they'll curse you out and they'll curse out your mother and they'll curse out the kids. You can't come here think you'll get lawsuit just to even look at certain children certain way. So I might be exaggerating there, but yes, you have to be very polite to your colleagues and your students. So you have to have that in the back of your head. I'm a professional and whatever is happening, let me just take a deep breath, count to 10, bite my lip, my tongue, whatever you have to bite, just to keep it in. So come with an open mind, a positive attitude. Make sure that you come prepared to work.
Amen.
Come prepared to work.
Yes.
And even though they're going to overwork you, because you will feel overworked.
Yes.
Don't feel bad to take a wellness day. You have your days. It's
Mental
cheaper
health.
for you to lose a day's pay than to be in the hospital and to pay that bill. Just a little knowledge here for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you go into the emergency room and you stayed, I went there once. I stayed for about 4 hours and my bill was over $6,000.
Mm-hmm.
It's cheaper for you to take a wellness day than to go to the emergency room.
Yes.
So you're gonna do your best at your work, but make sure that you put your health first. That is first and foremost. So
Awesome.
come with an open mind, come with your positive attitude, come be prepared to work.
And don't be afraid to take your mental health or your wellness
Wellness
day
day.
if you
Oh yeah.
need it. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
their teacher said you look so. All right, guys, we're gonna take a break and then we're gonna come back. We're gonna take our quick 30-second break. Have your questions ready. I know some questions were going up earlier, but I couldn't check those. So if you could just copy and paste them back when we come back. If you did not like as yet, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Also, share it with others. We'll be back shortly. All right, so we're back and we're going to get straight into the question segment. I'm going to go back up to some that I saw earlier. Nardian, you're muted. I know somebody was asking if you have social Facebook, but I know you don't have Facebook. So so I know that so I know they were asking, I think, also about email.
What about email?
I guess because they were asking for your Facebook or if you had an email where they could message you to ask you something. I'm not sure. But I'm
All
gonna
right.
go back to the questions and if I miss any, guys, you can put them back down to the bottom there because I
Yes,
might not
they
see
can
all.
email me.
Okay. All right. So somebody was asking, can a J2 be sponsored for H2B? The H2B is different from the H1B.
Probably
That's a
they are
totally
probably
different
they're
thing.
aware of that. They can be if you actually find someone who is willing to employ that J2 person. They can be employed on because you know that the H2B is a temporary. Well, all of the visas are temporary visas, but I think it's 10 months, but you can do extension up to 3 years on the H2B. So once you have a company that is willing to sponsor, sure, they can transition from J2 to H2B.
Yeah, I know the H2B is kind of different. I'm not 100% sure on that. So somebody's saying, can a teacher change from one school to the next while on the program? Which program?
Is it the
Or
H1B?
J1? Which one of
Let
the
me answer
programs?
for both. For J1, it depends on the program that sponsors you because I know with FACES, at the end of the school year, they'll let you know that if you want to transfer to another school within the district, you can, well, not only the district, within the area that they actually sponsor teachers to go, you can actually apply to another school and work. For Savannah, and I talk mainly about Savannah because that's where I'm at. For H1B, you can work at any school within the district, but you can't go outside because you have to work for the district that sponsors you, and you have to stay in the area that you were qualified to teach. For some H1B, and I don't think I said this, but for some H1, some districts or schools which sponsor the H1B, some of them, they don't actually sponsor green card. And if they actually do that, it will take, like, after you have worked 3 years or 5 years before they actually start the process. In Savannah, once you start working, the process will begin.
Awesome. Awesome. Next question was, let me see. I applied in late May, early June, got an interview. Didn't take the interview because, wait, talk away. Didn't take the interview because I was in Jamaica. Applied again, never got done the question. You can.
Someone had asked in the chat if that they actually applied, but they didn't hear anything. I'm not sure what you're seeing beside your status, but you can share Lizette's email with them. That's the person you contact if you want to reach out to someone. I sent it to you, so you can put that in the chat.
All right. I think the questions are so far up. I need to go back up and get. Wait, give me a minute to get this.
Angela, you're...
All right, so that's the person you say you can contact to find out about the status. All right, so I'm gonna go back up to the questions that were.
Yeah, I'm searching too. Someone asks, how can they get a job in the US? You can get a job on the J1 or the H1B. The J1, you have to apply through a J1 sponsor. And there are so many J1 sponsors.
A lot.
That are there, a whole lot. Even South Carolina Board of Education, they are actually J1 sponsor. So you can just go onto their different websites and apply. Start your application, and you'll upload the documents that they require, and they'll take it from there. The same with Savannah. You go on Savannah website, you apply to the job, you upload the documents that they ask for, and they look at your application, qualify you if you're qualified to teach here, and they'll take it from there. The principals will not be able to see your profile on the website unless you are qualified. So you can't get an interview unless you're qualified on the portal. So the principals are not able to see you, your profile, or anything about you until you are qualified. And that's the time they are able to reach out to you for an interview.
Okay. Somebody is saying that Jessica is saying we would love to network with you as an aspiring SPED teacher. So I know I did put her email address, Jessica, it's in there. You can reach out to her by email because she does not do social media. You do Telegram. So I don't know if you're on Telegram or by our email address. And then somebody was saying, Miss Nardian, is it that our J2 will not be able to work on an H1B, or is it only for a time?
It's for a time, and that's if
that's
you're
kind of confusing though, J2, because you said J2 and H1B. So maybe you want to clarify the difference with the J2 and the H1B, what they get.
Okay. So the J2, when they transition over to the H visa, they actually go on the H4 visa. So the J1 person, that's a teacher, would go on the H1B, and our beneficiaries will go on the H4. So if you're asking about the H4, it's only for a time if your district is sponsoring the green card. Because as I said before, you will not be able to apply for a work permit until you are like at the third phase of the application for green card. It has about 4. They said it's 3, but it can be broken into 4 phases. So when you're at the third, which is the I-140, when that's approved, you can actually apply for the work permit. Currently, there's a bill out, and a bill that was introduced in the House of Representatives just last week. And this can take years. And if it is urgent, it can take months. Yes. Where they are lobbying for H4 visa persons to be able to work automatically like the H1B. So let's pray about that and ask God to let it be urgent on their table so that our beneficiaries will be able to work.
All right, so I'm not seeing any more questions that have gone up. I might have missed some. I did ask that if you had a question, you could put it back. I was qualified for 4 positions, but still have not gotten an interview. What should I do?
Reach out to Lizette. As I told you, though, it's over 8,000 person who.
Let me interject. I keep telling them, stop putting your eggs in one basket.
That's true.
Look also on the pros and the cons of the H1B, because remember, with the H1B, your spouse, your children cannot work. Think about the J1. It's not a bad program. It's not a bad visa to be on. And a lot of people, I know why a lot of people want to be on the H1B. Because in their mind is that the only visa they can transfer to a green card is the H1B. That is not true. You can change from a J1 to green card. I was of the opinion also that you had to be on an H1B to be transferred to a green card. That is not true. You can be on a J1 visa and be transferred to a green card. Think about being on a J1 visa. You are able to work. Your husband is able to work. Your kids are able to work if they're at the age and would like to do some weekend job or, some summer job. So I would encourage, and that's just my opinion, I would encourage people to also try the J1 programs. Use it as a stepping stone. Miss White said earlier, she's able to bounce back now being on H1 because she was first on J1, and so they had some money saved in the kitty. And now when it's, H1B and your husband is not able to work, at least you were working before, you save up some money. So my advice would be come on the J, save some money, and then transfer over to the H. You don't have to do it. I'm just giving a suggestion. I know a lot of people think the only way to move from green card is the H. That is not true. You can be on J visa. Our last guest, I don't know if you remember the last guest that was here, her green card started on the J visa. Okay, guys, do the research. I'm not telling you anything that is not true. And Miss White is she's a researcher. Okay, so she will back what I just said.
Yeah, I was about to.
Yes, Vicky, you can transfer from J to green card.
Yes. Can I interject here?
Let me finish saying this. My last guest, go back to the last live with Pastor. Oh my God. Her green card process started on the J1 visa. Real life experience. If you don't believe me, go back to that video. Go ahead, Nardian.
Okay, I was saying that only can be done if the district is willing to actually sponsor you, because you might come with the thought that, oh, I'm going to go on the J1 and then transfer to green card. But if you don't have a district that will do that, then you won't be able to do it.
But it's the same with the H1. You can come on H1 and district don't want to sponsor it.
Well, that is true too.
Anyway, you take it is if the district is willing, but people think it's only the H1 can bring it to a green card. You can be transferred from the J to green card also, if the district is willing.
As I said, just look at the pros and the cons for the two programs. Well, H1B is not a program; it's just the district sponsoring you to come and work. The J1 is a program. Look on the pros and cons of J1. Look on the pros and cons of H1B. See what your goals are. See what best fits your family's needs, and then you make your decision from there.
Yes, Vicky, go back. I'm gonna put it in the chat right now. The link for the last live. This young lady, she actually, when they started the process for green card for her, she was on a J visa. I'm putting the link there in the chat box so you can. And if the link doesn't work, you can always look back on the channel and find her. Her green card started on J visa. All right, I'm
Um,
not seeing any more questions. You have
yeah, I'm
something?
seeing a question there. I'm
Go ahead.
seeing a question about extra lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yes, you can do extra lessons in Savannah if your school actually offers it. Some schools do offer extra lessons after school programs, and some don't. Because my school, we don't. But I have colleagues where their school actually they do extra lessons, so they work to get some more money, of course. So yes, it depends on the school. Another thing I didn't talk about,
Mm-hmm.
I want to just, I don't know if Mrs. Hamilton is here, Shauna Hamilton, the tax lady. Taxes, when you're here, if you're here, for those who are online and you're here, or if you're aspiring to come here, you need to learn about your taxes, tax refund, tax return, how you write up your W-4. And Shauna McLean Hamilton, she has been very instrumental to a number of teachers in the group, in the Telegram group. And she is the tax personnel. She has no problem to give you advice, even if you're not using her. So learn about your taxes, because you can owe the government if you don't know how to complete your W-4. And your W-4 form is actually the form that you sign up for the district to take out your taxes.
Somebody's asking, can your spouse study at a university while you are on H-1B?
Yes, your spouse can actually study. They can also get their driver's license with the H4. Just limited amount of things they can do. Those two I know about right now.
And somebody's saying, how can we be a part of the Telegram group?
Well, the Telegram group is actually for teachers who are here or those who have been approved to come here. So if you are here in the United States, you can just, I don't want to put it in the group because that would be just for everybody that is on.
Mm-hmm. When they email you.
Yes, when you email me, I can actually share the link with you if you're actually coming here or if you're here.
Somebody's saying, can you apply to be certified before getting a position? I did the ethics training already, but having a challenge to sign up to be certified in the subject area I want to teach.
Is the person here or in Jamaica? If the person is here, yes, you can actually apply and get your certification before you even been offered a position in the Savannah district. If you're in Jamaica, you have to be here. You can start the process, but there is a document that you will need to upload, and you can't get that document until you're here. So if you're in Jamaica, you will not be able to complete the certification process until you get here. You can do everything else, the ethics and everything else, but you have to be here to complete that. Another thing, remember I was saying something to you about room for growth, where you can actually be certified in another position without even going, another discipline without going to school. Yes, I would like to share that.
Okay, go
And
ahead.
this would come under growth.
Yeah.
In Savannah County, the Georgia Board of Education, I'm not sure about the other states. If your district actually give you the go ahead, if you can train yourself in another discipline. For example, I'm a SPED teacher and I want to go into math. I can study on my own, apply to take the test, the GAZE test. And once I'm successful, that certification will be added to my qualification. So I'll be able to teach as a math teacher without even going back to school. So that's a plus, that's a growth. So you're not stuck in one discipline. Oh, But you can't teach in another discipline until you're off the H1B, because you have to remain in the discipline that you were approved on the H1B to teach in.
Okay, I'm seeing some questions coming. I answered Jutel already, who's asking if you still have to pay the fee, the insurance, if your husband is back home. And then somebody's asking, how can your husband apply for a waiver as well so that he can get an H1B? You can go ahead and answer that with a waiver. It's only one waiver we apply.
One waiver.
You can go ahead and explain that, Nardian.
It's just the J1 person needs to apply for the waiver, and that covers everyone. And once the husband, the thing is, if the husband gets a job on the H1B, the husband will be able to work because the husband is on his own H1B. But if not, then they won't be able to work. So the waiver, once your waiver will cover your husband.
Yeah, and usually the waiver is for the J visa, not the H.
Right.
And Shamar, I did put her email address. If somebody can see it and copy it back down here, I did put her email address there. I think it's nardianward@yahoo.com. It's somewhere there in the chat box. How long after the H1 get their visa do the H4 get their paperwork?
What is it? The contract, those long 25 days document?
I guess it's the visa.
How long after you have gotten the job? Is that the question?
How long after your husband applied? No. How long will it take for your husband to start? I'm missing that question. I think they're saying how long after you get your H1, your husband will get his H4. I think that's what the question.
You don't have to worry about that if you're in Jamaica. When you go to all of you can go to the embassy at the same time, and you'll get the H4 visa and the H1B visa. If you're here, you'll expedite yours. You have to pay $2,500. We didn't touch on that today. You have to pay $2,500 to expedite your process because you want to start working.
To the time, yes, right. You want to start working.
But your husband H4, because currently they don't expedite H4, so it will. My family, they got their H4 in, is it October or November? I think so. That's about 4 months. But others, they got theirs in December or January. So it is relative. It is really relative. I'm seeing another way that you can earn money. You can work as coaches in your schools, because I work as the cross-country coach, and I was working as assistant athletic coach when I was on the J1. And that's a way of bringing in a little more, not much, but it is something. Yeah, so you can look at those openings and apply there.
Does your husband have to stay in the country if he has an H4 visa, or can he just visit since? Yes, sure.
Yeah, the husband can go and come. So if you don't want your husband to come here and sit down and they have a work back home, they can stay and work and they come and go as they please.
How long after signing the contract, after signing the acceptance letter, do you receive the actual contract?
That varies too, because some people will get the actual contract like a week. Some 2 weeks, probably a couple days. So it's not long though. Yeah.
All right. And then can the H4 study until the paper comes back?
Yes, we had answered that.
Yes. But studying, is still school fee, because they're going to be considered as an international student and you're going to pay more money to study as an international student. All right, I think we have covered all the questions. Again, I want to thank you, Ms. Nardian Ward White, for coming to share with us this evening your wealth of information. It is highly appreciated. I know the viewers have learned a lot this evening from you. I know people who have been wanting to have first-hand experience, or should I say first-hand knowledge or information from somebody in the Savannah Chatham County public school system. They are grateful that you came this evening and shed some light on that for them. And I want to say thank you so much for taking up the offer to come and share with us this
And you know
evening.
me shy, right?
It's highly appreciated. You're not shy. First of all, this girl out there, boy, she's shy. This girl looks shy too, no? No. Thank you very much for coming, and we highly appreciate you. I know people are saying thank you so much. Very informative session, and they have been saying earlier they are doing an awesome job, very informative, and we are happy that you came to share with us today. Will they apply for the J1 waiver? Will they who? All
You
right,
are most
guys. So
welcome. And I
I'm
saw
not.
my mother-in-law online. Yes, thank you. She
Oh,
said
you
I'm
want to
doing
big
a
up?
great
Oh,
job.
if you want to big up Nardian, go ahead and big up
Yes,
woman.
if you're here and you know that I know you, I want to know that you're here.
Thanks,
Okay,
Mrs.
thank you. You're
Margaret.
most welcome, Dr. Britton. Thank you for having me. And thank you to everyone who have taken the time out to be with us this evening.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, guys, that's it. That's it for this evening's session. I have some things that I've been thinking about, to spice up the channel some more. I will be sharing that on the community for you to give me your feedback as to what you think, or if you think that's something. Big up Nardian and Dr. Britton. Great job. Thank you,
Yes,
Nadia.
Nadia. Yes,
Nadia, I've
Dennis.
learned
She's
so
from
much.
Virgin, yeah, the U.S.
Good.
Virgin Island.
Oh, tell her we need her over here.
Tell her, yes.
All right, so
My daughter,
guys,
yes.
be on the lookout for some polls
Samaya.
on the channel, some ideas I have of sharing some more things with you guys. Be on the lookout for that. As Nordian spoke today about, going to different places to shop, it took me to myself, and I know other people know this too, that Old Navy is one of my favorite spots because if you didn't know, if you have an Old Navy credit card, for those who are here, if you have a Old Navy credit card and you use it, you will get rewards. And now they have this thing where you get points. So when you go in store to buy, you can use those points to shop. And some days when I go and I pick up my stuff, I have enough points where I don't pay nothing but some
Wow.
cents.
Wow.
So that's something I wanted to share. All right, guys. Thanks very much. Kelly says later, cousin, very informative from Katie Ann. Samara said, thank you, ladies. Very informative program. Looking forward for another. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.